Discrimination of the Romani people. The Romani people make up an ethnic group that lives primarily in Europe and Asia. Significant populations are also located in North and South America. Romanis immigrated to these areas from South Asia sometime between 500 and 1000 CE. While many like to think of them as nomads, today less than 5% actually move around enough to be considered nomadic. They are sometimes referred to as gypsies because they were originally thought to be Egyptian, though many now find this term derogatory. Ian Hancock, a Romani raised in Great Britain, says, "The term falsely implies that Roma are not a race, that they are simply a group choosing a lifestyle." Discrimination dates all the way back to the 1400s when, because of their appearances, they were thought to be spies for the Ottoman Empire. Europeans were so convinced of this that they carried out ethnic cleansing campaigns against the Romanis, where a considerable amount of people were killed or expelled from the countries involved. Parts of present-day England, Denmark, France, Sweden, Italy, and Spain banned all Romani settlement. In the 1500s, discrimination was so bad that England and Switzerland both permitted the immediate execution of any Romanis found within their borders. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, the Austro-Hungarian Empire forced Romani people to live non-nomadic lifestyles. The empire even went as far as to take Romani children from their homes and give them to non-Romani parents to be raised. While all of this was going on, Romanis remained enslaved in Transylvania all the way until the mid-1800s. Also in the 1800s, more and more countries passed anti-Romani immigration laws. World War II was one of the worst times to be a Romani. The Nazis exterminated somewhere between 200,000 and 800,000 in an attempted genocide known as Perajmos. Perajmos wiped out at least 25% of their entire population, and likely more. After World War II, much of the Romani culture was lost when communists forced them to assimilate. Much later, in 2009, the Romani people were formally excluded by the UN from the commemoration ceremony on the International Day in Memory of the Holocaust. During the 20th century, Czechoslovakia became one of the most intolerant places to live as a Romani. The government forced them to live in settlements by the border and made sure to sterilize every Romani woman after the birth of her first child. In 1990, the Czechoslovak government discarded the forced sterilization program. However, sterilizations didn't completely stop until 2003. Not all types of discrimination Romanis face are so obvious. In 1997, Canada announced that visas will be required if an immigrant was coming from Czechoslovakia after a documentary showcased how great Romani life in Canada was. Many consider this discriminatory because just 1 year earlier, in 1996, Canada had abolished the visa requirement for immigration altogether, making Czechoslovakia the only country from which a visa was required. According to Amnesty International, as of 2013, 1/3 are unemployed and 90% live below the poverty line. The high unemployment is likely because Romanis are not allowed to enter high-paying positions, and because of this, many try to hide their identities while they are in the market for a job. The vast majority of European countries still continue to deny citizenship to Romani people, even if they have been living there for generations. In France, Romanis are referred to as travelers, despite the fact that they don't travel anywhere and that they have been living in France for multiple generations. The French government issued ID cards to all travelers and required them to carry them at all times. They also made them register with the police every 3 months. After they faced harsh criticism, the French loosened some of these requirements. However, the registrations are still mandatory. Many schools still segregate non-Romanis and Romanis. In 2005, in a Greek town, Romani students were to be integrated into the normal school. When parents found out about this, they blockaded the door and denied access to the building. After this protest, the schools remained segregated. Another place school segregation is a big issue is Slovakia. In Slovakia, Romani children were taught in different classes, played outside in different areas, and were not allowed to go to the cafe. Many expected this would change when the Slovakian government forced schools to integrate in September 2014. However, this was not the case. 7 months later, only the 16 smartest Romanis had been removed from the segregated classes. In 2008, the Italian government established new immigration criteria that seemed to be aimed at Romanis. The government would now check a person's living conditions before they would be allowed to enter the country. Many Romanis felt targeted by this because they are known to live in poorly sanitized camps just outside the city limits. The Italian government introduced a controversial plan in 2010 that moved Romanis from their illegal, dingy camps to legal ones with running water and electricity. Although many families objected at first, a spokesperson said they were now happy in their new homes. Another controversial Italian policy is the encampment of Romanis. The government introduced a policy to build cultural villages. Many viewed this as a way to keep Romanis out of the cities and social life and under constant surveillance. Currently, one of the biggest threats to Romanis is hate crimes. In 2013, 6 houses and 4 Romani cars were firebombed by protesters. Later that year, a Bulgarian army officer murdered 3 Romanis after he smelled burning tires in their yard. Also in 2013, a young Romani girl was taken from her home by police because she didn't look like her parents, who they accused of kidnapping her. When it came back that she was Romani, the media lost interest. In conclusion, I believe that the discrimination the Romani people face should be put to a stop. The best way for this to happen is to donate to Amnesty International. You can do this by logging on to amnesty.com and clicking the Donate Now button at the top of the screen.